Immigrant, I'm what happens if Aladdin had some bricks. Jasmine had a pimp. Ride the magic carpet with some tints. I'm like, god damn. When I heard that shit, I was like, this is nasty.
See, now we should probably start the show. See, everything you heard before was probably a warm-up. I got thousands of songs we could do. I could be here till 5 o'clock in the fucking morning. Don't give a fuck. Just like, you know, like crazy. So that real hip-hop is over.
What is good, guys? It is Esteban Xound here with another album review. Now, before we get into anything, remember to, most importantly, subscribe, comment, like, share the video. Let us know what you want to see next. Let us know what you think about the reviews. With that being said, let's get into it. This is the Belly Immigrant album review. Going into the album, I like some of Belly's music. I started listening to Belly's music around the time of Mumble Rap, which came out in 2017. I enjoyed that album when it first came out. Now, do I find myself listening to it and going back to it a lot? Not really, maybe a couple tracks here and there, but I can definitely appreciate the album. It was a solid effort. He's a pretty decent lyricist, and his choice in production is really well defined. He's also from Canada, so I gotta represent anybody from Canada, you know what I mean? Because we're in the YYC, for anybody that doesn't know. You gotta represent the Canadians. So Belly's definitely doing his best to represent for Canada, and I appreciate that. Now, based off the title of the album and my family's personal experience as far as being an immigrant and my personal experience as far as being an immigrant, I was definitely excited and I was definitely interested to see what Belly was gonna talk about on the album. So you could say I had somewhat of high expectations going into the album based off that kind of a title that says Immigrant. So when I first heard the album, I was low-key, high-key, really happy with the album. The album felt very cohesive, and it was only 11 tracks long, which definitely helps with the replay value on the album. Now, I had high expectations as far as the concept of the album, and I think Belly didn't really fully explore all the topics as far as being an immigrant. So I was somewhat disappointed as far as the concept of the album. I was hoping for a little bit more, but maybe I had my expectations a little too high. Now, after a few listens, I definitely found myself enjoying the album a lot. The one thing that I started to ease off on was my expectations of what Belly was gonna deliver content-wise on the album. Now, I'm still hoping for somebody to really delve into the experiences of an immigrant, kind of in the fashion of a Good Kid, Mad City. If somebody would be able to do that, and I'm calling out any MCs that are watching this, that are immigrants or have experienced any sort of immigrant's experience, if you can figure out a way to flesh out that kind of idea into like a Good Kid, Mad City type of concept, that would be super dope. And I think I was somewhat hoping for that on this album. Like I said, I might have my expectations a little too high, but the more I listened to the album Immigrant by Belly, the more I realized that this just isn't that type of album. So I came to really appreciate the album for what it was. One thing Belly does really well is he's got an ability to be simple yet effective. He's got a dope ability for wordplay, similes, metaphors, and his laid-back delivery, plus his punchlines and his metaphors. It kind of takes you a couple listens to catch what he's doing lyrically. It might not hit at first, but the more you listen to it, you start realizing what Belly can do lyrically on the album. It's not lyrical acrobatics, but it's effective, simple, straightforward, to the point lines. Now, getting into my favorite tracks, definitely Zion, the second track of the album. Definitely like the instrumental, very energetic. Some of the lines were super dope. Immigrant, I'm what happens if Aladdin had some bricks. Jasmine had a pimp. Ride the magic carpet with some tints. I'm like, god damn. When I heard that shit, I was like, this is nasty. Who hurt you? Such a beautiful vocal sample. It sounded like some royalty, LeBron James throwing up the powder before the game, highlight reel type shit. This puts me into some like king shit mood. Love this track, love the sample that they use on the instrumental. I love the lines, my first ever key, I got high off it, cause I never knew the residue would fly off it. Selling dope to the fiends, acting like they won't die off it. All we ever gave a fuck was getting fly off it. I'm like, god damn, this is the type of shit that I was hoping to hear. Immigrant, a dope, politically conscious type track. Belly's talking about the involvement of the US and the West into the Middle East and some of their intentions for doing that. He even speaks on it on the hook. When freedom comes, better lock your doors. I think anybody who's an immigrant can relate to that. I definitely related to that. And I think a lot of people can relate to that sentiment of the misleading ideas of freedom coming to different countries, but really they're coming to exploit the resources of the countries. And I think when he talks about that, it's like, man, I was hoping for somebody to say something. Meek Mill's talking about the racial inequalities, the inequalities in the prison system, and the inequalities as far as the media coverage. It's not like a extremely political track, like let's say an Immortal Technique would go into it, but it's definitely politically conscious and it's touching on relevant issues. So I really appreciated this track especially for that. And the instrumental is dope. It's got like a kind of like a boom bap type feel to it. The snare is hard. So I really enjoyed this track. The one thing I didn't enjoy was M.I.A. Her feature at the end of the track felt very pointless. She was on there for like 4 bars. Our land is holy, our land is history. I was just like, this feels very out of place, but overall it's still a dope track. Numbers, a very nice trap instrumental. Belly talks about living the lavish lifestyle that he lives. Yo Gotti confirms his dope boy credentials, and just a nice banger on the album. What You Want, when I first heard this on the radio in Calgary, I was just like, okay, this sounds like a generic pop radio track. But the more I listened to it, the more I realized, you know what, this is actually a pretty dope track. The Weeknd is singing on here, and I don't usually like The Weeknd's music or his features, but I think he definitely killed his feature. The chord progression and the vibe of the whole track was well done. What does it mean? A very dope sentiment. Belly's talking about overcoming drug addiction and betrayal from friends. Over this jazzy, smooth instrumental, it works perfectly. I find myself singing the hook every single time. It's gotta mean something. Love the hook on this one. Maintain, probably my favorite banger on the album. Such a dope nighttime trap instrumental. The verses do their job and the hook is super catchy. Nav really comes through on his verse. Now I'm starting to like Nav's features a lot more. I'm starting to like a lot of Nav's music a lot more the more I listen to him. And he's got a dope, unique voice. It's almost like monotone. It's still unique. It's interesting. I don't know how to describe it, but it's dope. I like it. Street Cathedral was a nice closer to the album. Felt definitely closer to mumble rap. It definitely felt Jay-Z inspired. And I felt like it was just a nice closer. Now my least favorite tracks. These tracks I was mostly kind of meh on. I wouldn't say they're necessarily bad tracks. They're just tracks that I really wasn't feeling that much. They didn't move me either one way or the other. All for me, the drug influence content and the slow instrumental really wasn't doing much for me. By Southside and Metro Boomin, I was hoping for a banger, but we didn't really get that. Dust, the instrumental sounds like it should be a banger on the album, and it comes out hard. But when I hear French Montana come on the track, and Martin Lawrence, I'm just like, I don't like this shit. Belly definitely comes through on his verse, so he saves the track from being a complete disappointment, but it's still one of the more forgetful tracks on the album. Overall, I think it's a dope album. I think Belly's starting to master the art of these kind of mid-tempo tracks. He definitely carves his style. He's got a dope laid-back delivery with effective lines, effective wordplay. Belly explores a conscious side of himself, and the album is short. No room for filler, concise, straight to the point, dope shit. Belly, if you're watching, I would say continue to explore some of the conscious subject matter and continue to explore and touch on your experiences as an immigrant. Like, really give us what was your experience immigrating from, I think he's Palestinian and Jordanian. What was that experience like, you growing up? What was that experience like coming into Canada, getting your papers? What was some of the struggles that you had to go through? What was your perspective? Really kind of touching on everything as far as the immigrant side of your experiences. That would definitely be dope to hear. Keep repping for the immigrants worldwide. We definitely appreciate that shit. Thank you for that. Keep making dope, concise albums. And I would love to hear you experiment with some faster paced instrumentals. It would be dope to hear how you would sound over faster paced instrumentals. If I was to give this a rating, I'm feeling a light 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this album. Now remember, if you have not, remember to subscribe, comment, like, and share the video. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Esteban Xound on Instagram and Twitter. Xound Movement on Instagram and Twitter. The website should be up over at xoundmovement.com. We're definitely undergoing some renovations. I'm out. Peace. Because I think if somebody was accomplishments as far as money and making money, Yo Gotti confirms his dope boy credentials.